Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast. This week, obviously, I've been gaming, but it's been like, Horizon and Zelda still. Making progress, lots of progress. In Zelda, found another section. After I found, last week, I told you how I found a shrine and a stable that I'd never seen before. I continued exploring around that area. I found another shrine and another stable I'd never been to. So anyway, the whole area now where I'm just like, I've never really explored this place. Let me just check this part out. And in Horizon, I just keep going on. And I don't know, I think I'm pretty close to the ending. It's starting to ramp up storyline-wise. So hopefully I'll be done soon and I can start playing Life is Strange, because I really want to play that. But the real news this week is that it's time for E3 again. Now, obviously, of course, I miss the days when I was writing for Gay Gamer, and I actually got to go to E3, because that was effing amazing. I mean, there were years when it was just E3 and you would just, watch the press conferences on YouTube and get press releases in your email, and you would just report on it without actually being there. But actually being there is so amazing. I got to go 3 times. The first one was great, but it was so overwhelming because it was my first time and I didn't know what I was doing. The second one, I think, was the absolute best one, because the second time, Gay Gamer was like at its peak, and we had because the first year there were 4 of us to cover it all. And that was a lot. You were very busy. The next year, there were 6 or 7 of us, and so you had less appointments, and you could explore more, and you weren't running from appointment to appointment to appointment like a crazy person. And then the third year was probably the worst. There were just 2 of us, so I just felt like I was on my own, and trying to do my best to get as much information about stuff as I could to report for the site. And now, of course, there is no more gaygamer.net, so, boo. Now I just view E3 as a fan. I can't really make predictions. I don't know what I want to see for... I know what I want to see from E3. I don't know what I think we'll see from E3. I mean, because if they're surprises, they shouldn't be predictable. I like the surprises where they suddenly come out with a new IP and you're like, oh, that looks amazing! So I just figured I'd break it down. I know at this point, as I film this, EA has apparently already done their press conference, and it was apparently an hour and a half, and it was a lot of sports stuff. But that's why I don't watch the press conferences live, because when you're actually at E3 and you're sitting in the press conference, you're stuck. Thankfully, I never had to do E3. I was usually at Ubisoft for third-party stuff. I did Ubisoft, and I would do Nintendo. I was always at Nintendo because I was the Nintendo guy. But other people would do EA and Sony and Xbox and Microsoft, whatever. So I never had to do EA, which is good, because that press conference is just awful. It's all sports games and war games, none of which I care about. And racing games, of course. So I watch the press conference on YouTube so I can just skim past all those and watch the games that I actually are interested in. But the other thing is E3 the press conferences Sony and Microsoft and EA, they tend to be an hour and a half, and it's ridiculous. And then Nintendo comes along and they're just yeah, here's a half-an-hour video that we've pre-produced and you can just watch, and it's all right there, real quick, concise, everything you need to know. They don't drag it out with special guests and lots of throwaways and all this annoying stuff. Nintendo knows you just want to come and see the games and get the information, and you're done. And that's great. I love that about them. So, for Nintendo, obviously, I want to see Switch. All Switch, all the time. Most importantly, I want some release dates for games that have been announced. I want to know when I'm going to be able to play Dragon Quest XI. I want to know when I'm going to be able to play Skyrim. I'd also like to see some actual gameplay footage of Skyrim, not just from like that promo video. I want to actually see how it looks and plays on the Switch. It should be fine because it was a 360 game, but and I'd also like a little more information on Project Octopath Traveler, because that was one of the games from the teaser that I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I like the 2D, 3D look of the graphics, and I'm just curious like what the battle system is like, because in an RPG, the battle system, that's the most important thing. So I want some dates on when I'm going to be able to play these games that I'm looking forward to. Also, obviously, I want an Animal Crossing game announced for the Switch. And I would preferably like them to announce it and say, and surprise, we've already been working on it and it will be available in time for Christmas. Because that would be aces. Probably not. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm pretty sure they're going to announce an Animal Crossing game, but I don't think we're going to be playing it until like spring of next year. But I also want to see some really nice third-party support for the Switch. Because what I want are cross-platform games to be on the Switch. I want, like the new Tomb Raider. I want that to be. I want to see some of the new Tomb Raider. I want to know that that's on its way, because I want more of that. I want to know that's going to be on the Xbox, the PlayStation, and then also the Switch. Because as I said before, I am completely in love with the Switch and how you can play it on your TV and then take it on the train or the bus, and wherever you are, you can play it. And that's fantastic. So if given a choice, I would probably buy a game on the Switch as opposed to the PlayStation. Because if given that choice, I'd want to have that portability. You know, that's a great feature. As long as you're not losing other features. Like if they're like, oh, well, the Switch doesn't have the multiplayer, the online multiplayer. I'd be like, fine, that's a fine trade-off. I'll give up online multiplayer for portability because I would rather have portability. I don't care about online multiplayer. Like that sort of thing. Because Zelda already proved that the Switch, for such a small, tiny little console, can handle quite a lot. So I want to see like third-party games coming to all three systems. So that I know that I'll be able to get stuff on my Switch. PlayStation, I would very much like to see some really awesome VR support. I want to see some VR games. Because I worry that I bought this thing and it's super awesome, but that I'm not going to have any more real games to play on it. And I'm talking about games, not experiences, because like stuff like Resident Evil 7, which actually is probably what they would do, because I can't imagine that they'd want to do a full game just for VR, because you're limiting your sales like a lot. But I feel like there are games, like a first-person shooter, like something like Resident Evil 7, that's from a first-person's perspective. I feel like there are games that would lend themselves to VR, so why not make a VR mode for the game? That way you can sell the game normally, but if you have a PlayStation VR, you can experience it in VR, and it's even more awesome. I feel like that's the kind of thing that we should see more of. But again, it's one of those peripherals. It's like Microsoft and the Kinect and PlayStation and the Move controllers, where it just, they meant it to be like incorporated into games, and people were like, no one owns it, we're not going to develop for it, it's just not worth it. But I want to see some VR support just to know that I didn't completely waste my money. Even though I love it and I don't regret my purchase, because the VR stuff that I've played has been so cool. And then as for Microsoft, I know they have a new Xbox that they're working on, and I don't actually seem to care about it. Because at this point, I feel like it's going to have faster processor and better graphics, and I feel like the graphics and processing are already like super amazing. You know, like how much better do we need the graphics to be? So at this point, I don't know why you would develop another console, because graphically the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 are fantastic. They can do amazing things, they look great. Any increase in graphics is going to be so incremental, I can't imagine that you'd be like blown away by how amazing the new graphics look. That's why I feel like Nintendo has the right approach, where they're like, okay, at this point we need to do something unique with our console, and the Wii U didn't quite work out, but the Switch is a great idea. It's a console that you can take with you and turn into a portable. That's a great gimmick. Man, not just a gimmick. Gimmicks makes it sound bad. But, like, it's not just a home console that plays games and looks amazing. Like, I just don't see the need for a new console. But who knows? Sony or Microsoft could come out and be like, look at this brand new IP exclusive to the Xbox One is this amazing game that we're developing, and it looks fantastic, and it's going to be amazing. And I'll be blown away, and then I'll actually be super excited to play something on my Xbox that isn't Dance Central or Rock Band. So, come back next week, where I will talk about what I saw at E3. Well, not at E3, but what I saw of E3 that interested me and that I am looking forward to, that I am excited about, and what disappointed me, and everything. So, E3 wrap up next week. Bye!